welcome back to my channel. Today is going to be the third video in my makeup inventory series. This video is going to be focusing on all of my blushes that are not in face palettes. And I have, at my last count, 40. So let's get swatching. First, I have my Colorpop pressed powder blushes. This is the shade My Sun and Stars. This was from one of the Kathleen Lights collabs. This is the shade Glass Slipper. And this is the shade Parakeet. I enjoy the Colorpop pressed powder formula for their blushes and their highlighters. So these are really pretty. I do not give them as much love as they deserve, but I do really like them. Continuing with the Colorpop powder blushes, I have two from the Midnight Masquerade collection. I have Esmeralda, which is in the shade Court of Miracles, and then I have the Tiana one, which is in the shade Kissin' a Frog. These feel like the same formula as their regular pressed powder blushes. They're both, the Tiana one is a little more muted than I would normally go for, but when I saw the live swatches, I thought it looked really nice. And the Esmeralda one is a little cooler pink, but I'm happy to have both of them in my collection. Now I do have some more Colorpop blushes with the blush sticks and the Super Shocks, but I'm going to do all of like my cream type products after the powder ones, so I'm not going to show those right yet. Next, I have 4 blushes from NYX. I have 2 of these baked blushes, which these are pretty old. I don't think they even sell these anymore. Mine are a little, well, actually, I was swatching these earlier and I just don't think I was picking up enough because that's got some, it still has some pretty decent pigmentation on it. They feel a little dry, but they are baked. So they're both really nice. You're gonna hear me say that a lot this video. My blushes, most of my blushes are really nice. And then I have the Sweet Cheeks Matte in the, the first one I swatched was the shade Chiffon. It's the darker one, and then Wanderlust is the lighter, more peachy one. And I have a Sweet Cheeks Matte in Daydream. I don't think, actually that's very similar to that, but it's a little, this is a little more peachy. I think it's going to be fairly easy for you guys to tell what my favorite blush color is. And then this is the shade Fig. It looks really dark, but I bought this because of Emily Noel, and it does sheer out very nicely on the cheeks. Next, I have 2 minis from Becca. I have this mineral blush in Songbird, which I really like this. It's like a muted orangey coral. And then I have the shade Camellia, which I am, see there, I'm using in a project pan right now. It's much cooler than I would normally wear, but it's still nice for just a like pop of color when I don't want a whole lot going on blush wise. Next I have 2 of these Fruit Cocktail Duos. from Too Faced. This pomegranate one is in the full size, which they have a smell like most Too Faced products. I don't know what the smell is, but it smells good. So it's more of a matte, it's a matte blush. There's the matte, and then it's a blush topper. This is pretty dark and cool toned, but I still really like it. And then I have this mini Apricot in the Act, which, there's the matte, and there is the shimmer. The shimmer on the Apricot in the Act one is actually, I mean, that's a pretty heavy swatch, but it's actually light enough that you could actually use it as a highlight and not just a blush topper. And I have this Tarte blush in the shade Feisty. I got this from an Ipsy bag, and I've had it for a while. You can see I've got a nice pan there, and I've got another little baby pan over there, although that one's because I dug my finger into it, but it still counts. I have this in my 20 favorites in 2020 project. It's just a nice everyday blush. I like to wear this when I go to work because you can't really overdo it too much with that one, and it just looks very natural. I have this BH Cosmetics Floral Blush in the shade Caribbean Coral. This one I like, you can use them separately. So there's like this cool pink and this more corally tone. Here, I'll do them. There's the pink, and there's the more orangey peach, and then when you mix them together, there they are mixed together. It's just my jam. That's the kind of blush color that I love to wear. Okay. And I have this Milani Baked Blush in the shade Bella Bellini. I really like this blush. I don't use it as often as I should because this top part of the case is broken and it pops out every time I use it, and it's really annoying. But again, it's a really pretty, like, goldeny peach color. It's got a nice sheen to it too. It's a really nice formula. I would try more of the Milani blushes, except I have so many that I don't need to buy blush for the rest of my life. This is the one Makeup Geek blush I have. It's in the shade XOXO. I really like it. I just don't use it often enough because I don't have any room in my magnetic palettes to fit it, and I don't like having to take it out of the sleeve every time I want to use it because I always end up digging the cardboard packaging back into it. Okay, I'm probably gonna start swatching on this arm now. I have this little Balm Springs. This was from an Ipsy bag as well. You can see I hit pan in it. That pan took me almost a year. It's a very light color, so I don't use it that often. Once I hit pan in it, I kind of stopped using it. It's not bad. It's just I have other colors that I like more. This is a Steve Laurent blush. A lot of these blushes are from Ipsy as well. That's why part of the reason I have so many, because I had Ipsy for, I want to say, about 2 years, and a lot of times you would get blush in there. This is in the shade I'm Blushing. It's a pretty color. I just have so many blushes that I don't use it. This Bang Beauty in the shade Smoked Peach is also from an Ipsy bag. This one is definitely my color. You can see it's very similar to that Milani one. It's maybe like a half of a shade darker. Essence Satin Touch Blush in Satin Coral. This is a really nice formula. It's very smooth feeling. This is a more natural, like corally peachy blush. I have one blush in Maybelline Fit Me in the shade Peach. And it's going to look very similar to that last one. This actually looks, it's a little bit pinker than that Bang Beauty one. The Ulta Velvet blush in the shade Honey Bunny. That's a very light pink. Oops. I would definitely need to deepen that up with something else, but it's a good formula. And finally, for my powder blushes, I have this Pacifica Coconut Blush Duo in the mirrors on the back, so I'm trying not to blind you. In Beaming and Tender Heart. This was also from an Ipsy. This shade Beaming is actually, I like to use it as a bronzer because it's kind of brown toned. I don't like wearing that on my cheeks as a blush, but I will wear it with a bronzer, and then I will use this shade Tender Heart as my blush when I use this duo. But I've had them for a while, so the formula is getting a little powdery. Same goes with this. This is a Dirty Little Secret Cosmetics blush in the shade Kitty Pink. This was also from an Ipsy. I'm going to have to try, I think, to either pan this or get rid of it because it is starting to get very powdery. You can see that it doesn't even swatch very well. It still works fine on the cheeks, but it's getting pretty old, so I'm going to need to either use it or get rid of it. I have this blush from Juvia's Place in the shade Serafina. It's a really bright, like, orangey pink coral. It's a very nice blush. Juvia's Place has a really nice blush formula. My final pressed blush is this Kiko Milano blush in the shade Bonnie Mine. It looks, well, it is very dark, but as long as you just tap into it like once, it's not too bad on your cheeks, but it's so pretty. It's just got, it's not like glittery or anything. It's just got a really nice sheen to it. And then the one loose blush I have is this Bare Minerals in Golden Gate. I don't think it's open, but I don't think I've actually used this yet. I'm gonna have a hard time swatching it just because it's loose, but it's a very, very pale pink. I think this is probably going to end up, I'm going to end up using it to maybe lighten some of my darker blushes, like if I put that, something like that on, or the darker Colorpop blush on a little too heavy, I could probably go in with this on top to lighten it up a bit. Now we're on to my cream type blushes. I have this one blush duo in the shade Papaya Don't Preach. This was from a Birchbox. Now this is going to be a very intense swatch because it's a cream, but this obviously is not how I would put it on my cheeks, but just so you get an idea of the color, it is a beautiful color. I love it. And then this is the powder blush that you can put on top, but I use it, when I do use this duo, I use that more as a highlight. And then I have three Super Shock blushes from Colorpop. The first is No Vacancy. This one was, I believe, from their spring. This one, I believe, was from their spring 2019. It was the collection that the Sweet Talk palette came out with, I think. There's No Vacancy. It's a very bright pinky coral. Then I have this shade, Ooh, She's Blushing, from the Bretman Rock collab. It's very similar to No Vacancy, actually. I mean, it's a teensy more cool toned, I think, even though it looks very, even though it's still a very warm blush, it's not quite, it's like got a hair more of like a cool pink in it. And then the last one is Drop of a Hat, and this is from their fall 2019 collection. I haven't even used this on my face yet, I've just swatched it, but it's really, it's a little more like coppery peachy, I would say. Those are my 3 Colourpop Super Shocks. I also have 3 of the blush sticks in the shades Aviary from their Bye Bye Birdie collection, and then Mini Me and Flamenco, which is from their original like launch. So Flamenco is this very cool toned darker pink. Mini Me is a lighter pink, but still pretty cool toned. And then Aviary is actually, it's very similar to Flamenco. I feel like it looks a little more mauve-y, but they're very similar colors. And then finally, for blushes, I have this Maybelline Master Glaze blush stick in the shade Just Pinched Peak. This thing is so old. This is my oldest blush. It still smells fine. It still works fine, but I need to start using it up because this is probably like 8 years old at this point. They don't even sell these anymore, but it still works fine. It's a very similar color to the Colourpop ones that I have. And then I have these 4 Julep creamed powder blush sticks. This is the shade Desert Rose. This one sheared out is really, it's a very nice fall shade. It's very kind of deep in rosy coppery, I would say. This is the shade Rose Gold. This is more of, I could probably use this more as a very sheer highlight if I really like blended it out. This Golden Guava is just a classic peachy pink with the gold shimmer in it, and this is Peony Pink. This is just a very cool toned pink. So these are swatches of all of my blushes. As you can see, I really gravitate towards one specific shade, and some of these definitely need to see more love, but overall I'm not going to say happy with my collection just because I know that this is an excessive amount of blush. I'm happy that I have what I have. I am definitely not looking to buy any more, especially because I know that I tend to gravitate towards that coral, peachy, goldeny, shift colored blush, and as you can see, I already have a lot in that shade range. So I'm definitely not looking to buy any more blush in the foreseeable future. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in my next video for my highlighter. Bye!